Welcome back to LonelyMan BGs and this video on Lord of the Rings LCG. Lord of the Rings LCG is a card game that plays 1 or 2 players out of the box. Games typically last between 1 and 2 hours. Underneath the game is this very visually appealing playmat that Fantasy Flight offers alongside the game. It has plenty of space for players and it features an amazing map of Middle-earth. First of all, if you didn't know, Lord of the Rings LCG is a card game with a bunch of cards. The game also has a few different counter types which we'll go through, but the majority of the components are indeed centered around cards. There's also a first player token. Before the game even begins, players will have to choose a quest they wish to complete. There are 3 quests in the core game box: Passage through Mirkwood, Journey along the Anduin, and Escape from Dol Guldur. Each quest will give information on specifics required in order to set up that scenario. Every quest is made up of quest cards, which represents the various phases of the quest that players must complete. The first card is flipped up upon beginning the game and placed in the quest area in a deck. Quests will typically have this number here, which represent quest points. As players allocate heroes to these quests, they will place progress tokens on the current quest card. Once completed, the card is removed and the next quest card is shown. This is the encounter deck, which will endlessly spawn things to get in your way. The encounter deck is constructed from a variety of encounter cards, which come in sets. For each scenario you play, the quest cards will indicate what sets to use. For example, in this first scenario, 3 sets will be used: Spider, Orc, and this tree set. The specific set icon is located here on each encounter card. The card sets are shuffled together and then placed in the encounter deck space. Before we talk more about encounter cards, let's start learning about heroes and players' decks. Before beginning the game, each player will construct a deck of cards based off of spheres of influence. There are 4 spheres: Leadership, Lore, Spirit, and Tactics. The Spirit deck, for example, focuses on dealing with treachery and threat. Each deck has hero cards associated with it, which are the main actors in the game. Frodo and Éowyn are Spirit heroes. Every hero has stats listed on their card. Éowyn has high willpower, while Denethor is a defensive hero, and Legolas is usually focused on ranging baddies. The hero's hit points are also listed on the card. Every hero has special abilities that they can use throughout the game as well. Gimli gains extra attack strength for each damage token he has on him. Players will choose 3 heroes at the beginning of the game. These can be from multiple spheres of influence, and players can create thematic list of characters. So, if you want a dwarves-only party, there's nothing stopping you. Each hero also has a threat value listed at the top. The threat of each hero is added up at the start of the game and dialed in on the threat tracker. One of the main goals of the game is to prevent your threat from rising too high, as it determines what enemies engage players during play. In addition, the players automatically lose if all heroes are destroyed, or if a player's threat ever reaches a value of 50. Players will construct their decks before the game in order to face specific quests. Let's look at the rest of the cards associated with a player's deck. Attachment cards are artifacts, weapons, and other equipment that players may attach to certain cards. The Citadel Plate grants a hero 4 additional hit points. Ally cards are units, creatures, and followers that players may gain throughout play. Allies have all of the same information as heroes do, and may be used to quest, attack, and defend as normal. The final grouping is event cards. These are instantaneous effects, spells, and maneuvers players may play from their hand. The Feint event card allows the player to prevent an enemy attack. There are some cards that are not associated with any specific sphere. Any player may add these to their deck. Gandalf is a particularly strong ally a player may play, but he is discarded at the end of a round. Each card has a resource cost shown here. Players earn these resources every round, but must be careful with how they spend them. Each active hero earns 1 resource during the resource phase. Players may either spend these from their pool, or keep them for the next round in order to save up for higher value cards. Every round during the quest phase, the encounter deck reveals 1 card per player that the hero and their allies must deal with. Most encounter cards have a threat strength shown here. Players must overcome this threat by questing, otherwise threat rises. The first encounter type is enemy. These are typically creatures such as spiders or orcs or other nuisances, and they engage with players once a certain threshold has been reached. Each enemy is also dealt a shadow card from the encounter deck before they attack. If you're lucky, these will be dodged without an effect. If you're not, they may deal additional damage and other nasty effects. The second type is locations. Locations can be traveled to, and sometimes have negative effects on players. When a location is traveled to, it becomes the active location, and quest points are placed on the location instead of the current quest card. The final encounter type, treachery cards, are pitfalls that players encounter during a scenario. So if you enjoy catching hill trolls with snares, you can learn more in the description below. Thanks for watching this overview of Lord of the Rings LCG.